Welcome to LegacyCast, your source for hearing from top influencers, industry experts, and successful business owners who are telling their unique story about life, values, goals, business strategies, and the various causes they are so passionate about. Future generations will come to be impacted by what is happening today, whether positive or negative, and our mission is to focus on what is going to affect change for the better. Hosted each weekday by James Snow, a former U.S. Army combat medic, now founder and principal advisor of James Advisors Group, a full-service financial planning firm in North Texas. This is LegacyCast. Welcome, LegacyCast listeners. This is your host, James Snow, coming to you from North Texas. And I have with me a friend and really good guy, Marc Cavalli, that's coming to me. And I'd like to have him tell you a little bit about what he's doing as far as creating his legacy and what he's doing to make the world a better place. Because as I like to tell people, your legacy is sort of your story, and it's you having an opportunity to tell your story your way, so that people many years from now will know, what you cared about, what you did to make the world better, and who you influenced while you're here. And so, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Marc to the program.
Hi, James.
So, Marc, if you can just tell our listeners a little bit about what you do and the things that you're doing, to as far as being a person of influence.
Well, as far as influence goes, Joint Task Force 22-0 just wants to influence currently serving veterans or first responders to open up, speak out, reach out, get their story out, because I found out how empowering it can be when you tell yours. When you tell your story, when you're not looking for sympathy or anything like that, you want to engage at least one person in the room, or in this case, within listening range, right, to go ahead and reach out and let everybody know it's okay. When you're dealing with a lot of stuff that our vets and first responders deal with nowadays, such as post-traumatic stress and thoughts of suicide.
Sure. So when you're thinking of legacy, kind of on a personal level, what first comes to mind when you think about that, Marc?
I honestly don't know. I would hope that my legacy, if I was to have one, would be that of JTF's as a team effort, getting as many resources as we can put out through social media and our website and podcasts, to have those vets and first responders open up and hopefully get rid of the epidemic that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, and that's a powerful legacy in of itself, because from there on you're making better the lives of those individuals that have sacrificed, and you're creating a platform to where they can really be able to have that healing and that growth going forwards. So that's a very powerful legacy. Do you feel it's important that people actively consider, maybe on a daily basis even, what they're doing to build their legacy, either on a personal level and business level?
Yes, absolutely. Sure. It can always be built upon or even changed, for that matter. Sure.
It's not always the financial legacies, but even the things that we're doing, educational, or the things that we're doing in society and what have you, the different activities that we're part of, and even maybe some nonprofits that we're part of, to where we're actually helping to do something better. So it's there's many different different facets to to the subject, I think. How do your views on legacy and your plans for leaving a legacy affect what you do in your business?
Well, I'm still trying to feel out the business end of things with JTF as a nonprofit. I realized that's a business in a sense. I'm not really sure how to answer that, honestly.
Are there things that you're doing that you're hoping that maybe your nonprofit is going to be able to last, for multiple generations, or the things that you're doing to make sure that happens?
Well, it's funny that you word it like that, because I hope to see in my lifetime JTF not have to exist anymore. That was the first
Indeed.
thing to check off. That was the first item to check off on the list, is make sure JTF's gone before I am. And I truly hope, with the help of other groups that do what we're doing, that we can watch them all go away and we can find something else to do and not have to worry about that anymore.
Oh, sure.
But, doing things like this, coming on shows like yours and other people that have us on, we're really just hoping to latch on to these other groups, and just, awareness isn't out there yet. A lot of people think that awareness is out there enough, and it truly isn't. We
Right.
just need to find that switch and turn that on and get more of those 22 or more a day. We have to find a way to flip that switch and get that taken care of and to stop.
You're right. There's a lot of pain and a lot of hurt that's out there, and so I commend you for what you're doing to take care of that need, and to make sure that people are aware of it, and to kind of put a spotlight on it.
Right.
As a CEO of your particular venture, are there particular things that maybe keep you up at night, as far as operationally speaking, as far as running it?
No, not really. We've got a real good board. The other members that make up who JTF is on this side of things. So the worry part isn't there. I look forward to doing JTF and the business every day, but I look forward, like I said, to waking up one day and having something else to do when I get home from work.
Yeah, I can see that. Do you believe it's important that people create for themselves particular plans and strategies for both personal life and business life that sort of sets their roadmap for what they're going to do?
I myself am a planner, so yeah, I would agree that you would have to have a plan for both your personal life and whatever sort of business you might be in. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you think are maybe the most common reasons are that entrepreneurs are failing, or maybe just giving up when they start a business and don't see it through to fruition?
I don't know really, because I do look at several a day, and then I see posts where, a group or a person that you're following seems to not be doing what they're doing anymore. They don't give any reason why. I don't know. It could be maybe not finding like-minded people, but in a venture like ours, that's what we need. So that's what we've always had, is like-minded people behind the mission. I don't know where some of the groups fall out, but it seems to happen all the time.
That's true. Maybe just not planning for just how hard it can be, perhaps, to
Right.
start something up.
It can be difficult and time consuming, but in a mission like ours, that's not going to be the reason we go away.
Yeah, you have to have tenacity to be able to see it through. That's for sure.
Right.
What are some roadblocks and resources that you would advise people starting out to look for? Roadblocks maybe to keep an eye out for, to not fall into, and then resources to take advantage of.
Well, the first thing we found out, and I'm not a business-minded person. 2 years into this, a little bit more so, but getting things established as far as your LLC and 501. A lot of people try and move forward with a name and an entity, and you can't do that until the IRS recognizes you officially
Sure.
as a group of people that can do that. like I said in the question you asked before, you've got to find the like-minded people to encompass your organization, and we feed so much off of each other because each of us knows a different aspect of the business end of things. If you don't start with that, I could see you going away very, very quickly.
Sure. How would you say your personal values and your belief systems play a role in your business venture, and how would you advise other people that are starting a business to incorporate their values and beliefs into it?
That's kind of tough to answer. I've never fielded questions like those, so I really don't really not sure how to answer that. I mean, you have to. Personally, I feel if you stay true to yourself and are around those like-minded people, it's hard to go wrong. And that's not a great answer, but on the spot to come up with something, that's really all I would have for that.
Well, that actually is a good answer. What you're saying is just being true to yourself and true to what you believe, and to follow with those things, and staying, keeping those core values, and make sure that you follow those things, and not, because the people that we need to attract, we're going to attract people like us, and so it's very important that the people that are out there do realize that if they're living out exactly what they are very transparently, then they're going to attract the right person.
Right.
And always, of course, doing the right thing.
Right.
What's maybe something that you wish you had done earlier in life that you didn't do, or maybe do differently?
Honestly, I would have to say I wouldn't do anything differently. In 46 years, I've made most of the mistakes a person my age can make. But like I'm trying to instill in my son is you have to, when it's all over, look back and not say could have, would have, should have. If an opportunity presents itself, take it when it does, because they don't come around twice, I would say, ever. So to answer that honestly, I don't have anything yet that I've looked back on and said I wish I would have done A, B, or C. So that's probably good.
Yeah, it is good. So as far as transitioning from the service, just kind of look at that for a moment. When you're transitioning, what kind of hurdles did you have to overcome during the transition, and then also in starting a business, what hurdles did you have to overcome?
Well, I've said it before, so I think anyone who knows where JTF comes from, the hardest hurdle I had transitioning from the military was transitioning from the military. I had a really hard time doing that. Fear set in, fear that I had never dealt with before, on how to be 34 years old and enter the civilian world after being in the military since I was 19. So the hardest hurdle for transitioning was finally transitioning once once I sought help for that fear and depression that made me want to end everything. It's a tough transition when you spend that kind of time doing one thing. I think, at least for me, it was. And I'm trying to remember the second part of your question. I'm sorry.
And then with starting the venture that you're doing now, what kind of hurdles did you have to overcome with starting your nonprofit?
Well, we and again, like my story, a lot of people know how we started. It was basically a challenge. by my boss a few years ago. So I looked forward to answering that challenge and finding people. Like I said earlier, you have to find people on the same mission as you. Otherwise, you're going to be a one-person effort and you're not going to go anywhere. But we actually had a smoother transition to start Joint Task Force 22-0 than I had getting out of the military. It was much easier. I was in a better place, and I was starting to be put in contact with those people by other people who make up JTF. We pretty much introduced each other to each other and formed what we have now.
So would you say that the answers that you needed as far as overcoming those hurdles, were they obvious to you, or did you sort of stumble upon them and kind of hit the wall a few times?
Yeah, it was more stumbling, trial and error than anything else. But again, you learn from them early on, which we did, and now we're able to let people know who we are on multiple platforms, and that's good because we need to put ourselves out there as much as we can for those of that need us.
Yeah. So when you were starting up your nonprofit, maybe you can talk me through sort of what that looked like during the startup stages, so that maybe somebody that's watching and wants to start up something similar, maybe a different venture, but a similar nonprofit or whatever. How would you describe what that startup process looked like?
You have to find those people to make up your committee or board. Then the next step is getting all those people's names, information on the application through the IRS website. Once they respond back and you officially become a nonprofit organization, you just move forward with your organization's mission as soon as you get the go ahead from the IRS to say you're now recognized as a group of people that can do this. And really, that's the biggest hurdle, is getting the application and getting it accepted, which gives you plenty of time to get more people and formally announce your mission to those people you want to put out to. Everything pretty much fell into place from there once the paperwork got sent back to us.
So what would you say was a particular thing that compelled you to go in this direction and to start this?
Finding a lot of people interested in our event is what prompted us to turn our event into a nonprofit, and then seeing that the numbers were there with that, back when we started, it was 22. We felt compelled, I guess, as a group of people that all thought we should be doing more and turn that ruck march we did a couple of years ago into what we are now, which is a multi-platform nonprofit for, advocating towards vets and first responders dealing with some bad stuff.
Yeah. Do you think that there is another profession out there other than what you're doing now that you would want to dabble into?
Probably not. No, like I said, I just turned 46. So if I wanted to do something else, I would have done it a long time ago. I'm happy doing what I do now. And like I said before, I don't look back and say, I wish I would have done this or that differently than what I'm doing now.
Excellent. So if you're to kind of look at yourself and pick out what a character strength would be, what would you say that is? That your greatest character strength is?
Wow. Somebody who's not me could probably answer that better, because I really wouldn't I really wouldn't know. I wouldn't be able to name anything. So,
can you name something that maybe is your greatest weakness that you struggle with?
That's almost easier to answer, and that's so bad. Sometimes I'm overly emphatic. I empathize a little too much, and I know I shouldn't. But depending on what the issue is, where I see it, um, I don't know. Something's telling me that's not a negative, but a positive one to have. But I'm bad when it comes to myself. I couldn't tell you my strongest, but I could tell you my weakest.
Yeah, that's not uncommon, actually. So when you're doing your brainstorming and maybe coming up with some ideas to venture into, is there a special place that you go to do your brainstorming? Maybe walks in nature or different places you go to do that idea getting?
When the weather allows, there is a veterans park not too far from me. I like to take a walk or a drive through there since it's always open. That's definitely that's my go-to place when I need to think about almost anything I can't think about at the house.
Yeah. So if you were to describe for somebody that's wanting to get into maybe a parallel business to what you're doing, how would you describe what your process is from day to day from a very high level so they would kind of have an idea of what that's going to look like?
Well, being the kind of group that we are, we post a lot. We have a Facebook group, a Facebook page, a Twitter, and an Instagram, and that's more or less how we get our stuff out day to day. Whether it's just a positive meme of reinforcement. There's a couple of us in the group that like to do personal quotes. So more or less our day to day is just reaching that one person who looks at our page every day, whichever social media platform they choose, or our website, and maybe they find the resources page on our website, and that's enough. So we're constantly trying to update everything that we're on in order to, again, even if it's just that one person, the six of us that make us up are always on there trying to find, like I said, that one post just to reach that one person every day. We're hoping to get a little more done on our website soon to keep pace with our social media stuff, but hopefully we're reaching that one person a day, and it looks like at least we are.
Oh, good stuff. So for kind of winding down the questions I had here for you, is I like to sort of wind it up with a trivia type question. And what's something about you, Marc, that most people don't know that you could tell us?
I really don't know. I have no idea. That's pretty on the spot. I couldn't think of something.
Well, that's okay. Now, the people that are listening, obviously, are going to want to need to have ways to get a hold of you as far as contact methods and is to be able to reach out either social media or what have you. How do they do that?
Through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search of our name, Joint Task Force 22-0, will take you to, like I said, there's 2 Facebook pages. Then we have the Twitter and Instagram. And for those who don't do social media, our website is www.jtf, the number 22, TO, the number 0.com.
Okay. So that gives everybody a way that they can, certainly reach out and look into, your organization and be able to help you, to join forces with you, to be able to be part of that program and to really just make sure that this is something that we can put to an end. And so, I definitely want people to be able to have that avenue. And so I appreciate your spending some time with us this evening, and just taking time out of your schedule to be able to sit down and talk about what you're doing, what you're doing to make your mission move forward, and then to be able to help other people and be able to make their lives much better.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate you, Mark. And like I always say to my guests, I will see you around the bend, my friend.
All right.
You've been listening to Legacy Cast. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to come back next time as we speak with more top influencers, industry experts, and business owners from around the world.